Hi. Hi, good Monday morning. It's Monday morning. Monday morning, you sure look fine. So, how are you? I haven't been here in a long time. One thing that happened over the holidays is that I got my website blocked from Facebook. Sorry, I had to adjust the skirt. Ah, yeah, I have on a cute gray plaid skirt and little gray boots. I'm just like so perfect for Texas weather, right? Because it's a little warmish here today. Going to get up to 75. Welcome to Texas. So there's something I want to talk about. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Good to see you. It's been a while, right? It's been a while. I've got my winter backdrop still up, which I'll probably go ahead and take down today and replace with a beach, because when you live on the coast of Texas, it's always beach weather. But I like this. I grew up in the piney woods of East Texas, and this has pines and holly all over it, and I love that. So that's fun for me. Um, so welcome to 2020. What do you think? 2020 sounds good, doesn't it? I think that 2019 was a good year and a bad year. It kind of depends on how you look at it. Oh, just like everything, right? So I want to talk today um, about 2020, but today is Epiphany. So I want to talk about Epiphany first. Now, you may know that I'm not really a practicing Christian, but I was raised in the Christian church. I'm going to get this up a little higher. I was raised in the Christian church, and I continue to study the teachings of Jesus because they're good, they're cool. But there are a lot of things that I don't really believe about modern Christianity, so it kind of excludes me. I can still go to a church, they won't kick me out. But I believe differently from some of what they teach. So that's okay, because that's a good thing, right? It's always good to be included and to have some knowledge and to have some beliefs. So I want to talk about Epiphany. Today, January 6th, is the 12th day of Christmas. Now, you may not know about the 12 days of Christmas, but in the Gregorian calendar, followed by the church, Christmas, the first day of Christmas is Christmas Day. Before that, for 4 weeks, is Advent. Advent is the looking forward to the birth of the Christ child, right? All right, so the Christmas season starts on Christmas Day and continues for 12 days until January 6th, which is representative, symbolic of, not actually actual, but it is symbolic of the day that the three wise men from the East met the baby Jesus. Now, I believe it's been proven that the whole going to Bethlehem to be counted and the baby being born there, that whole story um, has been debunked by historians. Like, there were two different Bethlehems, and nobody ever went to be counted. There was no census and whatever. So that is only in the Gospel of Luke, and a lot of it appears to have been laid out that way to support old prophecies about the Messiah. Okay, I'm not here to preach about that. I want to talk about Epiphany. So Epiphany was, like I said, it represents, hey Brent, Epiphany represents the day that the three wise men, the three kings from the East, met the baby Jesus. Now, let's talk about the wise men. They were from the East, so Jesus was born in what we now call the Middle East. So the East was east of there. And it doesn't necessarily mean they were from the Orient, but probably means that they came from farther east in what we now call the Middle East. The Arabs, a long, long time ago, the Arabs invented math. They came up with a lot of the math that we use today. That's why we call our numbers Arabic numerals. The 1, 2, 3, 4 that we write, those are Arabic numerals. And that's because the Arabs were brilliant mathematicians. So, or some of them were. I'm sure there were some who were, better at hockey. But The wise men, the alleged wise men in the alleged Christmas story, the wise men were mathematicians, and they applied their mathematics to the heavens. They were also astronomers, stargazers, and they knew that this supernova was important. So the bright star in the sky that supposedly shone over um, Jesus's manger, the manger where he was born, was a supernova. And I do think that astronomers have confirmed that that actually happened. I could be wrong on that. Feel free to challenge me. So a supernova happens when a star dies. So a star, um, and forgive me, I'm not actually a scientist, an astronomer, or a mathematician. I'm just a big fat know-it-all. Okay. So when a star dies, so here you've got this big ball of gas, right? It's a nuclear kind of ball of gas, right? When it starts to die, it fades and starts to kind of collapse, and the light from it dims. When it gets to a certain point, which I believe is called critical mass, it explodes. Explodes in a fantastic explosion. Now, of course, this is not like a firecracker that just goes boom and it's over. It's a giant ball of gas, right? So it's been compressed and then it goes pow, and it makes a huge bright light for a long time. It doesn't just flash and then go away. It's for a long time. Now, when we see such a thing on Earth, and I just read about one the other day, it's really exciting. There's a star that's about to go supernova, and it could happen in our lifetimes, but may not happen for 100 years, maybe not for 1,000 years. So here's the trick about space and astronomy. What we see in the sky, the stars, the supernovas, whatever, anything that we can see here from Earth happened a long time ago. Why? Because those things are very, very far away. If a star is 100 light years away, which I don't think we have any that close, but it's 100 light years away, that means that it takes 100 years for the light to reach us. A light year means the distance light can travel in a year. So if a star is 100 light years away, we're seeing light that shone from it 100 years ago. It's confusing, isn't it? Let's get back to our three kings. So the wise men from the east, mathematicians and astronomers, had seen that this star was something of significance. Whether it went off a billion years before they saw it or not, they saw that as being significant. They saw this star as being significant because they had done all the math and the calculations and the arrangement of the planets, arrangements of the stars, and they saw that this was important. And this is where we get our word epiphany with the little e. And think of it as being like, Eureka, I've discovered something. It's an epiphany. And, I use this word a lot myself because I have a lot of epiphanies, and some of them just about me and some of them for you. So the epiphany means a brilliant discovery, the epiphany. But what I want to talk about is really about the wise men. Here's the thing about the wise men. As astronomers, they were also astrologers. Because back then, there was no difference. The people who followed the stars noticed the constellations and where they were and what significance they bore to life on Earth. The ancient Romans, who were at the time of Jesus's birth, of course, the Romans controlled that whole area, not where the wise men came from, but that whole area in the Middle East was certainly controlled by the Romans. And they were pagans. They worshipped multiple deities, and they studied astrology. The ancient Greeks did as well. That's where we get a lot of our stories about the constellations, the names of the constellations, and so forth. And so astrology, which is, as you know, like where we get our horoscopes and stuff, astrology was discovered by human beings. Astrology was not created by human beings, it was discovered. Like just like when you put two and two together, and when you're a child and somebody says one and two, one and two, you put two and two together, how many do you have? One, two, three, four. Oh my goodness. So these mathematicians looked at the constellations and their relationship to one another and the earth, and they put together information from that data. They put together significant information. So the reason that I'm mentioning this is that I'm not an astrologist. And as you may know, I know about this much more about astrology than the average bear. Okay. But I can tell you this, when you read a daily horoscope, you are reading sun sign astrology. And your sun sign is the sign that the sun was in at the time of your birth. I know. So sun sign astrology assumes that your sun sign, like I'm a Cancer, I was born in July. If you're an Aquarius or a Gemini or Sagittarius, whatever that sign is, it assumes it's in the first house of your natal chart. There are 12 houses in your natal chart. And so when a horoscope says, well, this month, mighty Neptune enters your seventh house of partnerships, which actually is not true. It's over here, like in Aquarius or Pisces right now. Anyway, when it says that something is entering your seventh house of partnerships, as an example, that assumes that your sun is in your first house. Well, my sun is in my fifth house. So that doesn't really make sense. So instead of adjusting for, seventh house from the fifth house, that means it's going into the 12th house, I read the horoscope for Pisces. My first house is mostly Pisces. I've got a little Aquarius, a little Aries, but it's mostly Pisces. The entire zodiac of Pisces is in my first house. I have a big first house, big seventh house. Not that it matters, because this is complex stuff if you're not into astrology. But the point is that if you want to read horoscopes, I suggest that you go to, you can get a free natal chart at alabe.com. That's short for astrolabe, which is, it's sort of like a globe of the stars. So it's alabe.com. And throw your own personal chart. It says free chart, and you can just put in your date of birth, time you were born, where you were born, and it calculates your chart, and it throws that up there. So look at your first house and see which zodiac sign your first house is in. Now, it may be split, and that's okay. Like I said, I've actually got 3 different zodiacs. Got a little bit of Aquarius, a little bit of Pisces. A little bit of Aries, and then I've got Pisces. But that way, you can read that horoscope and get a little bit better picture of what your horoscope is, what your predictions are for the future. Now, because, like I said, I have a big first house, a big seventh house, I get a little more into it. And if something is just entering a specific zone or zodiac sign, then I might go and look at my natal chart and go, oh, okay, well, my seventh house doesn't start until 5 degrees into this sign. So I will then see where that's going to be. Now, this may be too complicated for you, and I understand it is complicated. This is why I've never actually learned how to do it, because it's too complicated. And I don't want to learn it. But my recommendation for you is, if you want a good astrology reading, is to get an astrologist to throw your chart and give you your predictions for the next quarter or the next year. They can do that. And that would be specific to you. Because, if you think about it, if you go, astrology is just bunk. What is it? There's 12 different kinds of people in the world, and that's it. And the same exact thing happens to to 1 out of 12 people every day. That's stupid. It is stupid. And that's not really an accurate representation of astrology. Okay. So now the daily horoscopes are not terribly reliable anyway. I was just looking to see if I had this book. I also want to recommend a book if you're more interested in this. It's called Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. It's an old book out of the 70s. She's a great writer. And a lot of the book is kind of written, it seems to just um, show off her good writing. But it is interesting about what each sign really means. And she talks about the Gemini man, the Gemini woman, the Gemini child, Gemini overall. And if you look at your chart, you can also get your rising sign and where your moon is. I have both in Aquarius, so I have a lot of Aquarius energy. So you can look at that as well, and that might make a difference for you. Okay, so how did we get from Jesus and the wise men all the way to modern day astrology? Well, I think I made the connection for you, right? Okay, that's one thing I wanted to tell you about 2020. If you're thinking about getting an astrology reading or reading a horoscope, hi, Cami, welcome. Um, your nails match your glasses. Indeed, they do. Indeed, they do. Thank you so much for noticing. I am a teal, turquoise, and aqua kind of girl living in a brown and beige world. Okay, so the other thing you can do for 2020 is join my preview call. I'm doing a psychic preview call for 2020. It's a conference call. We won't have very many people. It'll be a small group. Everybody gets a reading. And remember, the group effect assures that anytime you witness someone else's reading, there is almost 100% chance that you'll get a message from their reading as well, something that's important to you. And remember, this is also about astrology. It's also about Jesus's birth. It's also about the wise men. It's also about um, psychic readings. It's also about synchronicity and things that go bump in the night, things that catch your attention. Remember this, don't dismiss anything as imagination, because if it means something to you, it means something to you. Simple, right? If it means something to you, it means something to you. So don't dismiss something. Go ahead and hold that and ponder all these things in your heart. And that's from the book of Luke about the birth of Jesus. Okay, seems like I had something else to tell you. I'm doing a word. Oh, yeah, the word workshop. The 2020 word workshop is another conference call where I'm going to give you a word worksheet. You get that ahead of the call. And we're going to walk through developing a word or theme for your 2020. And this should be partly intuitive, partly divinely inspired, and partly a touchstone or a wish. Your word or theme is not a resolution. Your word or theme for the new year is about what you want to happen. What would you like your year to be about? And we pull in, like I said, intuitive and divine inspiration, and we pull in wishes and dreams and hopes, and we create your word of the year. Now, personally, I've been doing this for a long time. Personally, I like to make a little vision board, only I do it digitally. I do it on PicMonkey. Just make a thing with words, and my main word goes bold in the middle. And then at the top, it used to say, today's visions are tomorrow's reality. Today's visions are tomorrow's reality. This year I changed it. I decided to say, visions are reality. Well, I put time on it, right? Visions are reality. Imaginations are reality. They become what they become. Oh my gosh, hold on 1 second. Don't go away. I'll be right back. This was the other cool thing I wanted to share with you. So my older daughter came in this weekend with the baby. She brought my brand new little grandson. He's 5.5 weeks old. Well, he'll be 6 weeks old on Wednesday. So precious. And she came and brought him to visit my ailing father. And so I had both my daughters under the roof for 2 whole nights in a row. I was so excited because you know how mama is. When you get the chicks back in the nest, it's awesome. And while my daughters and the baby were visiting my dad, my husband Don and I went up to my mom's. And I'm pointing because that makes any difference to you. You don't know which way I'm going. I could say my mom lives over there, but she doesn't. So we went up to my mom's. One of the things my mom needed help with, now she's 83, she's extremely healthy and in great shape, but excuse me, as she has always been, she's a little clumsy And she tends to take risks that she shouldn't because she's older than she thinks she is, you know? She feels young and healthy and strong, and yet she falls off ladders. So we went up there for a work day. We helped her hang a picture over the fireplace, which required a ladder and a drill. And then the main thing she wanted to do was offload the attic. She wanted to get everything out of the attic and rearrange and store it in the garage so she doesn't have to climb into the attic anymore, or more appropriately, she doesn't have to wait for me to come and help her, right? Because I live 75 miles away. So there were some things in my mother's attic that we had gotten, that I had put in there when I was during the dark days, when I moved away from Austin and I moved home to Conroe, and I lived in a very small space. And then I had some storage, and then I moved into a little bit bigger small space, but I didn't have a storage unit anymore. And I really, that's when, that was the 5-year house fire. That's when I gave away, got rid of, and lost a lot of my stuff. So, and I'm still, I'm not bitter. I'm still a little bit sad over that. Sometimes I miss some of my stuff, but of course, you don't want your stuff to own you. You want to own your stuff. So I have the memories. All right. One of the things that was up in the attic at my mom's house was a big flat box in which I had put my late husband's belongings. Now, my children, this is my children's father. His name was Tim Morrow. His name was Tomorrow. It really was. His name was Tim Morrow, Timothy Morrow. And when I asked my mother-in-law a few years ago, I said, did you know what you were doing when you named him Tim? She went, oh, I just thought Timothy was such a nice name. There was nobody else in the family named that, and I thought it would be perfect. She came from an Irish Catholic family. Okay, so Timothy it was. Tomorrow, his name was Tomorrow, but he loved it. He loved being Tomorrow. So the children went through his things, and I got a little verklempt and had to leave it to them. But one of the things that they found, I wanted to keep for myself. And we're keeping the box of things. They just took a few things out of it that they wanted for themselves right now, which is fine. So one of the things that I took out was this little laminated card. Now, my first husband, Tim Tomorrow, was a thinking man. He was a philosopher. He was a poet. And he loved the Dale Carnegie program, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He had a certification in that. And he loved mentoring people. He loved helping them learn to read and things like that. In fact, the day he died, the night he died, the next day he was due to go to like a dinner where he was being honored for the work he had done for an organization that helps people get their GED. So anyway, so this we found this in his stuff, and I wanted to read it to you because it is very much in line with the law of attraction and the manifestation that I teach. And I didn't really know at the time. I mean, he died in 95. So I really didn't know at the time. I don't remember that he had this or felt it, but it was laminated. So it was important to him. Okay. It's called Ideals. That's the title of it. And I don't know the author. As you think, you travel. And as you love, you attract. You are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. You cannot escape the result of your thoughts, but you can endure and learn, can accept and be glad. You will realize the vision, not the idle wish, of your heart, be it base or beautiful, or a mixture of both, for you will always gravitate toward that which you secretly must love. Into your hands will be placed the exact result of your thoughts. You will receive that which you earn, no more, no less. Whatever your present environment may be, you will fall, remain, or rise with your thoughts, your vision, your ideal. You will become as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominant aspiration. It's powerful stuff, isn't it? Can't wait to share this with my Make Magic with Mojo group, because this is so powerful to me. It's exactly the law of attraction. And excuse me, he got it and had it laminated sometime before 1995. And like I said, I don't know the author. I may look it up and see if I can find the author, or maybe you know and you could tell me. So I think that's pretty amazing. And I'm gonna tape it up here on my screen so I can see it every day. It's not, it sounds like part of it can be discouraging because you cannot escape the result of your thoughts, but you can endure and learn, can accept and be glad. You will realize the vision of your heart, be it base or beautiful, or a mixture of both. For you will always gravitate toward that which you secretly most love. Okay, think about that. Your thoughts, very, very important. And remember, if it means something to you, it means something to you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, friends, Romans, countrymen, fans and friends and odds and ends. This is the beginning of 2020. What are you going to do with it? Head over to MoJoMedium.com, which I finally got it unblocked. Woohoo! MoJoMedium.com, and you will find the 2020 calls that I mentioned. Ooh, somebody's at the door. Perfect timing. It's probably a package. I'm expecting some red cowboy boots because I envisioned them. Thank you. See you soon.